Roto Pat from Roto World, NBC Sports Universal. I have a very simple question for you because I don't really think there's an answer. Who is the face of the NFL right now? If you had to put it in one guy, who is it?
Jim Harbaugh's khaki pants. That really captures the essence of the league. No, it's Mahomes. I can see why you'd argue it's not Mahomes since he's not even the most famous person in the stadium for every Chiefs game.
Correct.
Of course, be the girlfriend of his tight end. But it's Mahomes. I think he's even more the face now that there's finally like a little villain factor, even though it's totally unearned, like not a villain at all.
It is the most fake villain arc of all time.
It is. Like he's done nothing differently. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's not a cheater. Like done literally nothing wrong.
Just a normal guy. Has never had like an evocative political statement.
No.
He's married with 3 children. His kids are like frequently with him. I mean, people don't like his wife, or his brother, but like,
or his dad, or his coach,
dad,
or like a lot of his.
I think people are generally favorable on his dad, other than the fact that he, I think, has 2 drunk driving arrests. But generally,
it might be 3. I think it's
okay. Tough scenes for Mahomes Senior. Certainly, the Kelsey thing. It would depend on who you ask. Some people are just like, the Taylor Swift woke mind virus is ruining the country. So that there's like a political element to it, that it's like who his tight end is dating makes him the villain. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the 2 weeks where everyone had to pretend that the league was rigging the rankings for a team in Kansas City, Missouri, that was an unfortunate time for all of us. And I think everyone who made dramatic statements then has had time to sit and reflect and change their minds about that. That was a dark time, but I actually don't think it's Mahomes. And I basically don't think it's Mahomes because he's kind of just a normal guy. The thing with Brady and the thing with Manning, very big personalities. Manning was not a big personality the way like a rock star is, but he was like cerebral and he had all his folkisms. He was Peyton Manning was always funny.
Yes.
Right.
He was always funny while also being like super intense though. Like,
yes,
people have kind of forgotten now that he's just folksy funny, Peyton, that he was always like kind of super uptight too. Like he was one of the most uptight people in the history of the NFL, like during his career, like yelling at a center and all that.
Yeah,
yelling at Reggie Wayne.
The damn it Donald clip.
Yes,
I mean, the damn it Donald clip is the high. I mean, he's in the middle of a play and he's yelling at his running back for missing the pass block. Now, Brady, I mean, again, outside of 4 northeastern states, not a high Q score. I don't think people like Brady.
No,
but there was no denying that he was the face of the National Football League for a long time. You couldn't have told the story of the NFL and all the guys, Roethlisberger and Manning and Breeze. They were all even Rodgers really judged against them. Favre kind of in at the beginning of that era. These are all bigger personalities than Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes doesn't have psycho mode. Is kind of one thing you're alluding to, where anyone who saw The Last Dance, like The Last Dance of Michael Jordan really clarified like all these guys kind of like a screw loose, like they're kind of almost like antisocial. Like
yes.
they want to win more than they want to live. And Mahomes is just like too well adjusted.
Isn't that? It's actually Pat. No one's ever pointed that out to me before, but that's so true. I cannot think of an athlete with as many accomplishments who like you don't ever hear like McCole Hardman going to the meeting and be like, "Yeah, dude, me and Mahomes stayed after practice and we practiced until our hands were bleeding."
No,
Mahomes is like, I went home, I had 3 Coors Lights, I fell asleep on the couch. My dog woke me up and then I went upstairs. Like that's great. I'd never thought of it that way.
So yeah, he doesn't have the Peyton grind set in that way. And then he doesn't have the dark side like Tom Brady, like 4 different cheating scandals, not all of them his fault. Or like, Tiger Woods or Lance Armstrong.
Sure.
Or all the steroid era sluggers. Think of like all the like era defining American athletes, not just in the past 30 years, really of like the entire American century and a half of sports. like all have like a famous dart. Like Babe Ruth was drunk 72% of the
Larry
time.
Bird was famously just like would talk the most shit
Yeah,
of
had like a
any.
huge edge to him. Like tried to coach and was really good at it, but like was like, I can't do this. Like after 1 year,
Like these
realized.
guys suck too bad.
Yeah, I think it was that he thought they just sucked, and they
Yeah.
made the finals the year he's the coach. Like these guys suck. I can't do this. And Mahomes, yeah, he's the only well-adjusted superstar athlete of all time, and we're probably gonna see more and more of this. Like
Curry.
yeah, Steph, you're right. You're right. It's all the modern ones though. Like no one's flawed anymore. Like modern because modern
Well,
life's too easy.
Josh Allen and Joe Burrow call, I think, on the on the flawed. So my answer, I was gonna go around to, I think the league at large would far prefer Josh Allen to be the face of the NFL. That's where I was leading the witness. You didn't get
No,
there.
I don't agree with that at all either.
Okay.
You want to talk about a
Is that
smaller market than Kansas City? I give you
well, but
Buffalo.
it's New York. I mean, come
It
on.
is New York, I know. And the whole state does kind of try to claim him. It's even come up in New York City politics a few times where like New York City Pauls will post like, love my Bills. And people are like, dude, stop. Like
You don't love your Bills.
no, it's on the other side of the state. It's on the Canadian border. Just stop. You do not love
you deal with your 2-year $40 million deal for Justin Fields
yeah.
and possibly Shadur Sanders being the quarterbacks of the market. Yeah, I mean, I suppose what we are doing is we are redoing the Brady Manning era, but with the I mean, frankly, the guy who should be the face of the league is Jalen Hurts. I mean, you want to talk about it. You want to talk about a psycho, or Lamar. And there are reasons why some people don't like Lamar Jackson or don't like Jalen Hurts or whatever. I mean, it's a less conventional style of football. There's also political stuff that falls into there. Yeah,
Well, another reason there's not a face of the league is because the league wants it that way. Like
true.
the league really, really enjoys being bigger than its players, which I guess when you're the biggest league, you like that. Whereas the NBA and MLB are both like always desperately trying to manufacture a face of the league. For like 6 or 7 years, it was like, why does MLB not do more to promote Mike Trout? The answer is, of course, he didn't want to be promoted. Now that they put Ohtani on literally everything, like the NBA is having a total identity crisis. Like, who's the face of the league? Or the NFL is like, we like it. We don't want to face the league. We want the face of the league to be the people watching our product no matter what. Like, even the years when it's bad, even the games that are bad. Like, the league likes not having a face of the league, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like they're in a unique period where that will work. But long term, I feel like that doesn't work in sports because sports are just soap operas for men. You need to care about the players.
Unavoidable.
Yeah, you need to care about the players. I mean, the primary thing that the NBA has going for it is player movement. I mean, people love the player movement. The NFL, I mean, frankly, to their detriment. I think like you start getting into, oh man, should this team trade for this guy? And then you start getting into the labyrinthian rules of like dead cap and you're just like, oh my God, why would the NFL make it so difficult to trade these players? That just makes no sense.
It actually does make no sense. Like, you could keep the entire system if you want, like the entire soft salary cap system and all that, while just making it far easier to trade players. I have never understood that. Why, like, there's these prohibitive, the dead cap punishments for trading people. And I guess they don't want like bigger market teams taking on, like, using it as a weapon where they can take on all this dead salary, but they can't do that because the cap's the exact same for all 32 teams. I have never understood the prohibition. Yeah, making it like, well, the Rams, basically the Rams would be better off not playing than trading Matthew Stafford this year because it would totally wreck their salary cap. I have never understood that.
So I totally agree. And I think that this could almost, like, the NFL could like put the nail in the coffin of the National Basketball. Well, what they could do is they could turn the National Basketball Association into Major League Baseball, where it's still popular in the region, but it does not dominate the national conversation. Like right now, I mean, it's so funny the way I experience mainstream sport media is at my gym in the morning with the sound off, and I can just see what's on the TVs. And I mean, opening day was 6 days ago now. And I'm still seeing more NBA stuff on like Get Up or whatever the ESPN morning program is than Major League Baseball. Now, Major League Baseball teams still profitable, still make money. It's
MLB is so weird because it's not just profitable and it doesn't make money. It's like a hand over fist league still. And
yeah,
well, by many metrics, it's like extraordinarily popular. And like that's one thing I do not I genuinely don't understand what's up with baseball sometimes. I know it's regional now and local, but like no one can make money right now writing about baseball. Basically, there's very few like independent baseball sites. There's very little content devoted to fantasy baseball, even though it's still popular. And there's just some weird disconnect where baseball is still like printing money, but somehow not like printing attention. I don't quite know how it's become like so parochial where it's like only local. It is, and it's especially in the era where like every big media company now. I work for NBC, of course. Every big media company needs content, and like nothing on planet Earth has more content than Major League Baseball. And that's one reason why I think baseball actually is like totally fine and like
sure.
it's gonna ride all this. And baseball is like the American cockroach, basically. There's like literally nothing you can do to kill it. And baseball is still very well positioned, but it is in a weird moment where like no one can make money writing about baseball, and it annoys me, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like I think like a baseball Substack would not do as well as the 974th fantasy football
No.
Substack, probably. That is a circuitous route to the National Football League if they basically change the dead money rules and like T. Higgins could actually demand a trade and it was in a way that didn't handcuff him and his future earnings in January. I mean, say goodbye to whatever the coverage is on the Houston Rockets guard rotation. And, is Amen Thompson ever going to learn to shoot or whatever? Like, that's gone. And all we're doing for the last 15 minutes on Pardon the Interruption, it's actually a bad example because Pardon the Interruption is great. Whatever, I don't even know. Sports Center. The lead in on Sports Center and then the final 15 minutes of Sports Center is Dan Orlovsky and for some reason Kendrick Perkins coming on and talking. And well, actually, Kendrick, offense intended to,
a little
to
offense.
you.
Yeah.
Instead of Kevin Durant trade request, we're getting Cooper Kupp trade requests or whatever. But it's just not viable the way the NFL works.
I just realized, though, one of the reasons why they do it. And so we know they love financial certainty, which is why they don't have anything, like the luxury tax or like unequal revenue distribution or anything like that. It's the same for all 32 teams. It's not just because they like financial certainty. It's because the entire business model does revolve around like, listen, we need people on a Thursday night to watch the Cincinnati Bengals and Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
And like they need – more than any league, the NFL needs the markets not to matter. And it is like tempting to think like, man, it would be great for the NFL if the New York Giants were like actually good. And it is great for the NFL and the Cowboys are good. I mean, the Cowboys still get higher ratings. Even in the league where everything gets high ratings, the Cowboys get higher ratings than anything else. But the league can't afford for people not to want to watch the Titans and Jaguars. So I guess that's another reason why they do make it prohibitively difficult. Is they need true down the middle parity, like real deal parity, not like fake parity. And I guess maybe we answered our own question there. Is why they make
no, because I think the true real deal parity exists regardless, just because of the way the salary cap functions in general. The NBA has been chasing its tail with this forever because I think when there are so many moving parts on an NFL team, it's just hard for one guy outside of a quarterback. Obviously, if Joe Burrow got traded, then sure, that would be a huge swing. But trading, I mean, let's even say a great player. Let's say Justin. Well, I famously on Ship Chasing, I said that Joe Thuney's trade was the most impactful move in free agency, and I stand by it. By the way,
no, I'm saying I was being serious. Yeah. Anyways, continue.
But let's say actually Justin Jefferson, better example. He's like, I'm sick of this. I'm never gonna win. I want to win. Get me to Buffalo. I want to go play with Jamar in Cincinnati. I want to go play with Mahomes, and that's it, right? And that was actually doable. I mean, does that really like the Vikings are going to be a little worse. The team he gets traded to is going to be a little better, but it's not like Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors, right? Where I mean, this is just very simple math. 22 guys on the field, one guy makes up a smaller percentage of everything that's happening. There's 10 guys on the court, one guy is 10%, he's 10% of the pie of what's happening on the floor.
And I think the NFL, though, too, just beyond that, even realizes, like, look at the stuff they do command attention with, like the ghost of Stephon Diggs. You know, I'm sure had some get up segments in March, like very low wattage free agency. I'm sure there were segments on ESPN about Rico Dowdle like going to the Panthers. Like
This was the worst free agency period of my adult life.
it
I mean,
was,
this was
especially compared to last year. There just were
yeah.
there because we know sometimes like a big fantasy name isn't actually a big name, but there were like not even any big fantasy names on the
Like
move.
Najee Harris was the biggest fantasy name.
Yes, it was totally dire, absolutely
Yeah.
dire. Demarcus Robinson to the 49ers.
DeMarcus Robinson to the 49ers, like probably did DeMarcus Robinson to the 49ers get a standalone Josh Norris, Hayden Winks?
I think it did.
Like,
Well, you know they love D-Rob. That's a bad example because they love D-Rob.
Oh God, I know. And they are part of the DeMarcus Robinson cabal. I mean, maybe this and certainly with the National Football League, it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. I would say this is just my perspective as someone who loves fantasy sports and likes football, but I don't like football to such an unbelievable degree more than I like baseball, more than I like basketball. Frankly, even hockey. Like if the available pool of gambling money and attention for hockey, like actually just if you perfectly segment it out, 25% of American attention on football, 25% on baseball, on basketball and hockey, that would also be how I would divide my attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do. I'm not there, but at heart, I am still a baseball fan.
Yes.
I'm a massive NFL fan too. Hockey, I watch the playoffs. The NBA, I used to religiously watch the regular season. Getting in the industry and like having kids and getting older, the NBA regular season, for reasons we might get into in a minute, had to be one thing
Yes.
I sacrificed. And there's a lot of people sacrificing the NBA regular season, which seems like, including some of the teams and players, which seems
sure.
like a
I mean,
this
was the first Bill Simmonsism that I ever like deeply took to heart, of which there are many. It'd be really interesting to live my life again without ever never being introduced to Simmons. I'd be a vastly different person, and I think there are a lot of men between the age of 30 and 45 who that is also true of. But I remember him saying, you know, same deal you're saying. Like, I got married, I had kids, like I have this big successful. I cannot watch college basketball anymore. I got to show up on March 12th and figure out what the deal is then. And I was like, oh, that'll never happen to me, dude. I'm going to watch college basketball. I'm going to watch college football. I'm going to know all this stuff forever. And like, it's just, there are not enough hours in a day. There are not enough hours.
No. And I think kind of what you're saying earlier too, where I am truly a sports universalist.
Yes.
Yeah. Before I had kids, I watched like genuinely everything. But a natural part of the aging process is picking out like your 2 or 3 core sports, which are for me baseball, the NFL, and college football. And then the rest kind of get thrown into the if my team is good bucket. Like if it's a big game bucket, if it's the playoffs bucket. Whereas, yeah, before I got married and had kids, I stayed up on all of it equally, basically. And yeah,
yes,
I've had the NBA regular season is probably the one that I thought would never fall by the wayside for me. And then it just did kind of naturally because I just had to call something basically. And it was
when I was in college living with my best friends for 3 years at K-State, we had the NHL Center Ice package, NBA League Pass. We watched every football game. We watched English Premier League on Saturday mornings. Like
I did all of this. Yes.
Yeah, we this all even like looking back on it seems insane. We just watched every regular season Kansas City Royals game.
Every regular
and
season
not even a good the outside of 2014, 2015, the Royals have never really been. I mean, they made the playoffs last year, but they've never really been good in my life. I've probably watched, I would guess at least 1,100 Kansas City Royals regular season games in my life.
Oh yeah, at a minimum.
At minimum, and that's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy. But this all leads me to a larger question, which I think is really interesting given our jobs in fantasy football. Is like, do you love football, or do you just love sports and football is where the money is to be made? Or for some people, do you just love gambling, right? And football is the medium where there's the most liquidity.
It's kind of all of that, where it is more that I just love sports, but I do genuinely love football. And it's not just about fantasy. Fantasy football is still like my main entry point for that.
Correct.
more than gambling or anything like that. I'm still just a season-long fantasy football player at heart. But there's just something I do love, like the essence of the NFL, the way like normie fans sometimes might not be able to articulate why they tune in. And it is just the drama. I really do just love the drama. Like, because I get into the games even when I don't have any fantasy implications. And at heart, though, I love the numbers. Just beyond just the numbers existing for their own sake. That is really how I got into sports. It's just being obsessed with statistics. Like each new game is like this new enormous statistical event, like creating all these new numbers. And I think at my core, that is what I love the most about sports. But even on a Thursday night where I have no action on the game, I still get into the drama. And so I do love sports. I was not someone who got into the industry because I just like loved the NFL. There's so many. I'm always stunned by the number of people in the industry who like only like NFL football, like who don't follow baseball, don't follow the NBA, don't even follow college, because that has never been me. But it wasn't like a cynical money thing or anything like that. It's just I love sports, and I do love football for football's sake, and all the other stuff is kind of like nice, like cherries on top, basically. I do love fantasy, but I love numbers so much too. I gave like five different answers there, but yeah.
It is actually unbelievable the amount of people in fantasy football who are like, no, dude, just football. And like, I'll, whatever, I'll turn on a
get it. I truly do not get it.
Like, I'll turn on a UFL game, but I guess maybe what I would say is there's nothing unique about the game of football that makes it the perfect sport relative to these other sports.
Well, yeah, yes, there is. It is the scarcity, which like the league is trying to touch the stove on.
The game, so I'm seeing the game itself in terms of the rules, 11 guys on each side, whatever. Now,
well, there's a unique thing there too. The violence.
It's the violence.
It's
sure.
The violence. It's the violence.
But I mean, rugby's very violent.
Not like football. Even now, even Goodell's NFL, rugby's got nothing on Goodell's NFL still. Like, even like the safe version of this game, there's someone getting decked every single play. Like rugby has like a lot of the same issues. Rugby has concussion problems and all that. There's not someone getting decked. Like football has 72. Each team runs 72 plays. There's 150 plays every game where someone's just all 150 plays feature someone getting decked. There has to be something like primordial about that that we love.
You are making good points. I won't disagree. Something I think about often is how much of an accident the success of football is. It just like the total slide of society.
Well, it's that too. There's also more benign accidental factors.
No, I'm not. Slide is maybe the wrong word. Maybe direction is the right word. But just like when football first existed as a televised sport, there were still like, I don't know, man, if you wanted to watch, I should be able to come up with a 70s sitcom, but I can't. But like, if you wanted to watch it, you wanted to watch the Jeffersons, you had to show up at Channel 4 or whatever and turn it on and watch it. And it was like, there's nothing, football is entertainment the same way like your YouTube videos are or whatever. But if you want to experience football in a meaningful way, it's one of the few things left on this earth that you have to experience live at the same time with a bunch of other people. Like this is like a ninth level knock on of the internet, basically, is the popularity of football.
No, I totally agree. It was in the right place at the right time. Nothing has ever been more in the right place at the right time. And yeah, the difference between it and baseball is just the scarcity then.
Yes.
And it just makes it so much. Baseball, as you know, is like a friggin' full-time job. Whereas you can be a mega sports fan and still like football's casual enough for you because it's one. So you can follow it like a ravenous sports fan, but at heart you're casual because you're just watching on Sunday. I don't even mean that like in a pejorative sense because a lot of like normal, well-adjusted people don't have all this time to spend on sports like we do.
Yeah,
And
you can know all the meaningful, relevant characters in the
yes,
National
yes,
Football League watching one day a week. You don't have to watch on Thursday night. You don't have to watch on Monday night. You can. You don't have to. You could just kind of get all of it by osmosis in a way that you can't with baseball,
no,
certainly with hockey, English Premier League. I mean, that is like a whole other. It's popular everywhere else but here, and that is fine. I think fine. Although, I mean, they're talking about doing. The most recent thing I heard was they are discussing doing a regular, just like a regular game that counts in the standings here. And then
yes,
another thing I heard was that because so many Americans own either outright or shares of teams in the English Premier League, they are considering doing a 39th week. So there are 38 games because there are 20 teams and they all
yeah,
play
yeah,
each
yeah,
other
yeah,
home and
yeah.
away here in the United States. So every
I've heard
team
this too. Yes.
comes here to play a game, which I think is totally not would do nothing. I mean, it would be great for the people
No,
that
it
are
would
over there.
not. It would go nuts. It would go nuts.
You think?
Yeah, I do. Because we love spectacle. Like Americans, like they turn out like any international soccer game. They basically sell out. Like it can be like Uruguay and like Germany would play like a friendly in like Columbus, Ohio, and it would sell out because we love spectacle. It's like even if they don't, it wouldn't matter if they don't know any of the players on Fulham and Nottingham. They would just sell it out
Sure.
easily. I think it would be big, which is why they're going to do it. Like they are going to do it. It seems pretty clear.
But would it be so big as to meaningfully change the popularity of soccer here? Because I mean, we've had the World Cup was here in 1994. The World Cup is going to be here very soon. I mean, a year from now, the World Cup is going to be here. They're playing. I'm going to go. They're going to be playing in Kansas City, and our mutual friend Pat Mayo has always told me, like, no matter what, dude, they've been saying soccer is going to be popular in America for my entire life, and it's never happened.
Well, see, this is a very popular talking point because to a point it is true, but people who say that don't remember, like it's astronomically more popular than it was in 1990.
It's astronomically more popular now than it was when I was 15.
Yes.
Like night and day from when I was 15, and even in the last 5 years. Like some of my I always just kind of gauge like my people in my life who spend less time online, who are just like normal and more well adjusted, and they have like a much greater perception.
Yes.
Like they could maybe tell you who like Erling Haaland was,
Yes. Yes.
whereas like these people, you would have said Luis Suarez to these people and they would have been like, I
Yes.
got no idea. I got nothing.
Well, the final boss completing all this is going to be when they finally sync up the MLS schedule with the European schedule,
Yes,
which they apparently are going to do. It seems like
I've
they are
heard
going
that.
to do. It appears that it is going to happen in the next few years. I don't know if Europe would welcome or be scared of that development because that has been kind of the main thing, I think, completing the United States from taking the final step, both in terms of competing and also like getting over the hurdle to being like genuinely soccer is like so popular with young people actually because my kids are getting older now and like all their friends have like Premier League jerseys and
Well,
stuff.
I mean, this is another thing is that kids in America are like compared to other countries like actively dissuaded from following soccer because it's like a for-profit sport here.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's becoming all of our sports. It's like
Yeah.
totally insane, actually. The baseball travel circuit is totally the NBA, excuse me, the basketball developmental circuit is like we're like destroying all of our developmental circuits. It's really great. It's really, really, really great. I wonder if that's one of the problems why even the American basketball game is not declining, but is at a low ebb right now. I would say. Do you agree with this? I would
Yeah.
say that we're at a low ebb. It's not just other countries catching up with us, which they are. I do feel like it is kind of like because the Olympics last summer, boy, were we reliant on the old guys.
Well, I mean, so this segs nicely into because I basically everyone who comes on this podcast, I ask them this because it's so near and dear to my heart, and I'm just so interested in the ideas. Like, how do you? I don't think basketball, the game, needs to be fixed. I have no issue with the threes and all that stuff. I actually just before we came on, I saw a tweet from Ryan Haberstroh
I
that for
saw
the
this too.
first time in the history of the National Basketball Association, there are more missed 3-pointers in a game than missed twos, which is like
It is
that
mind
is
blowing.
that is pretty mind blowing. But
It is.
my I agreed with Drew Dinkmeyer's answer on this most, which is that there's not actually really much of an issue with the game and the flaws are pretty fixable. It's largely a perception problem. It's like what you get to, because again, as we're mentioning, not everyone can watch these games all the time. So they kind of just rely on what they hear and you hear, oh, the rest and the yada yada and the whatever.
It's kind of bad.
The easiest solve, far and away, it basically fixes the entire situation overnight, is going to fewer games. You go to 60 games, you go to 70 games, and the issue resolves itself overnight.
It's very tempting to think this, but I'm not entirely sure. Like the problems then just don't transfer to a shorter schedule. Or the big problem, of course, is any given NBA season, both conference, 5 or 6 teams that are going to make the playoffs, like no matter what. That you don't solve that problem with the shorter schedule. So I have a lot of thoughts on the NBA thing. But the three thing, the game itself, I do think it is a problem. The 3-pointer, because the missed three is so unesthetically pleasing, but like that's the ultimate. Like you can't unring that bell unless you like want to like say each team can only attempt a certain amount of 3-pointers or move the 3-point line back, which they would just keep shooting threes even as farther back. I really don't think there's anything you can do about it. So I had kind of given up caring about that. The thing with the 3-pointers, by the way, that I don't think people talk enough about, where it's not just like missed threes. It contributes to like way more non-competitive games. Especially you really notice it in the playoffs because there's these years now in the series like, man, it's so weird. The T-Wolves blew them out in game 1, but now the Nuggets are blowing them out in game 2, and now there's another blowout in game 3. Where I think a lot of it's just like who's hot from 3 that night. And I think that is a weird knock-on effect of the 3-point revolution. But I agree with you with the 3-point. There's nothing you can do. Like you can't unlearn best practices. And look, we all know like shooting the 3 is the most efficient form of offense. Like
Could remove the 3-point line. They could extend the 3-point line. There was
extending it though. Those shoot worse threes.
Well, so a good one that I have heard. This is like bordering on Chuck Klosterman going on the Bill Simmons podcast and just saying crazy things, but would be extending the 3-point line long enough and wide enough that you remove the corner 3. So if you've ever been,
I've heard about just banning
court,
the corner 3 in general. Yes.
So you just extend the line out to the point that there is effectively no corner.
Yes.
Because the corner 3, I mean, frankly, it's actually ridiculous. Like if you go back and you think about, okay, basketball, they're doing it, but some of them are shorter.
Yeah, I know. It does make
why would some of them be shorter? What was the guiding logic for some of the 3-pointers being shorter than the other ones? But that, I'll tell you, it takes away one of the most thing that tilts people who don't love basketball is the guy's driving and he's got a layup that is like contested, but like, I don't know, it could probably go in. But instead of shooting the semi-contested layup, he dishes it to the corner 3 guy. So it removes that play. And removing that play, I don't know, what is that? That improves the aesthetics for the casual fan, like 25%, probably.
Yeah. Maybe, but it's weird because the NBA is always going to have an aesthetic problem, I feel like, which is kind of like what you just bump up against when games are solved. It's like you can't fix every problem. Like MLB is trying to fix all these problems. There's only so many things you can fix. Like the guys aren't going to throw less hard now. And the NBA, I feel like, is always going to have an aesthetic problem because you're going to have to choose between, do you want wide open offense and so many threes, or do you want like to create the rules again where it's like ultra physical, people are backing down.
Awful. Let me tell you.
all,
I will say one thing. Any of you who think you prefer that, you fucking don't.
no, you don't.
You
And
don't.
the Spurs moment in the early 21st century, it was just bad. And like the Pistons and kind of the Nets, it was just not great. It was every NBA Finals game was like 93 to 82. It wasn't great. This version is flawed too, but that's I think the nature of a game that's been played so much, and now there's so much math and like so much thinking about the game, is that it's always to an extent going to be solved, and you kind of just
The
have to
deal
choose which
is, dude,
version.
we already lived through the peak. The Heat Spurs era for me and my life, and this is because I'm at the right age, but you had the team that had the absolute outrageous top of the line physical superstar, LeBron and Wade. No one was ever more physical. They shot threes, but they did not jack threes, right? Against the ball movement Spurs. I mean, we had it.
That was
We
absolutely amazing basketball.
that was basically about as pure and as aesthetic as you got LeBron James doing dunks that like 40-year-old LeBron now would be like, dude, I'd pull my back out if I tried. Would I, like Miami LeBron? Some people listening to this probably are too young, actually. They probably
it's funny, you're too young,
legitimately-
of course, to remember the true peak of the NBA, which is I am a Jordan guy. It was just
Yeah, sure. I mean,
there's just I will say this to the young people, to be old. I'm
Yeah.
old. I'm 38. I will say Michael Jordan is the only athletic phenomenon I've ever witnessed that I would say like you can't truly understand it unless you witnessed it. Tiger Woods is kind of like that too, actually. Like you truly cannot understand. I've never in any sport seen a game, and it wasn't because he was a ball hog or selfish. You've never seen any game in any sport revolve around one player the way it did when Michael Jordan played. And like how you just like could not stop him. I really do think it's different than LeBron is better in like other ways, but I've never seen like an entire, or not in a forced manner, an entire game and then an entire league just revolve around one player, and because he was just truly that great. Like I really don't think you could understand it unless you witnessed it, which is a pointless thing to say because then if you didn't witness it, you're like, okay, great. Well, I didn't witness it. So like, what am I supposed to do about that? And my answer is, I don't know. I'm making a bad argument, but I just do not. If you did not witness it, I don't think you'd ever truly understand like what it was like to see. It was like honestly like seeing like Beethoven or something.
who was Michael Jordan's great opponent? Who is his Curry?
It was a rotating cast of foils because he would like beat them down
and see that's not as good. I think for peak,
he didn't have a permanent foil, but
if we're talking about his entertainment, you got to have the Curry and the Curry. LeBron was
that's not true because every year it was like he would totally demoralize, and then there'd be a new challenger. It was like it was like a medieval challenger system almost, or it was different. The symbiosis rivalries are great, where there's like a genuine like Nadal Federer like that. Jordan never had a Nadal, which is interesting. But it was fascinating in a different way. It was like, all right, that's like the Suns or the Blazers are clearly never going to beat the Bulls. Like who's next?
Right.
So it was interesting in that from that perspective. Like every year there's a new challenger. Of course they all lost. But he did the Knicks were kind of for a year or two.
Oh, Isaiah Thomas. I mean, come on.
No, not Isaiah Thomas was not on the Knicks. Well, the Pistons.
Oh, you're right. Yes, the Pistons.
But anyways, I did an old man Jordan rant. I'm really sorry.
I actually have never really had this realization until now that the reason part of the extension of the LeBron narrative arc was the fact that he actually did have a worthy opponent, which is so often not the case, right? Brady versus Manning.
Well, no, Manning beat me more times than people remember. I'll say,
yeah, just Super Bowls, right? Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that LeBron beat the Spurs, then LeBron beat Curry, but then he got his ass kicked by Curry.
Well, he also got his ass kicked by the Spurs, of course.
Yes, famously.
The Spurs Vengeance series is kind of a memory hold, but
well, the air conditioning went out. Remember?
Yes,
Remember that?
Stuff like that doesn't happen anymore.
No, the air conditioning went out and LeBron got cramps. Yeah. I mean, other things we don't talk about. No one really remembers LeBron like not being able to back down JJ Barea in the post in the 2011
What
NBA
happened?
finals.
That honestly
He,
that series had to be mental, right?
he clearly had a literal nervous breakdown.
I
There's
think
no other explanation.
I think he was feeling guilt for some reason. I think he felt guilt about how the whole decision and departure from and like I think he felt guilt and maybe how easy it had been. Like maybe he wasn't prepared. Like, okay, we really did just instantly make the finals. He had a
Yeah.
nervous breakdown. We don't know what the cause of it was. He had a nervous breakdown. It was weird. It was talk about something that you won't properly appreciate unless you witnessed it. The 2011 NBA Finals.
And I'm fully aware that like this is my own nostalgia covering things, and that nostalgia is literally like also its own mental illness. Speaking of mental illness, so I'm not making the argument that Jokic could never be better than LeBron or Cooper Flag or whatever. Anyway, kind of back to the point.
Yeah, sorry.
The NBA, as evidenced by this discussion, still clearly can create some powerful emotions, even from people whose job it is to not cover it. Like it's still people deeply care. The playoffs are great, right? I mean, last year's NBA playoffs sucked.
I'll say they're great, except for there's more blowouts than there used to be, and I do think it's because of the threes.
Well, yes, because threes create more variance, right?
Yes.
Because you're doing the right thing, but if you're shooting from further away from, I mean, missed 27
and the
of them in a row.
is you miss the physicality more in the playoffs, I'll say, than the regular season. Because by like game 3 or 4, they totally hate each other. Like they're basically like punching each other. That still kind of happens, of course.
Oh, yeah, they still absolutely hate each other.
But the games aren't when the games are blowouts, it's not like hammer and tongs, basically,
Yes.
Right. It can't crescendo in quite the same way. But then when it does crescendo, and like they're both like draining threes, it's amazing. But
yes.
Anyways.
So that is a good point that the threes take a little bit of the kind of the magic out of it. What it does is the total number of games in the playoffs where one team lets go of the rope, it just says like it just robs you of some of the close games, right?
Yes,
it's really all it is. Yeah, it just robs you of some. Now the series will still be very close. You'll still get some game 6s, game 7s, which end up being phenomenal. But sure, I don't know. My solve for the NBA would be fewer games.
I just don't know what the fewer games actually accomplish, because fewer games, what you're really saying is we have to make the regular season mean more. There's too many games. They don't care by the end of the season. I don't know if the number of games really fixes that, though, where clearly the crisis is somehow having to make the regular season matter more. And maybe the fewer games, you could argue, then there's more rests. So they're not going to be resting as much because there's more time between the games. They're fresher, blah, blah, blah. But I wonder if it has to be something more like, first off, the players, I do not mean this in a judgmental sense at all. The players like stopped caring about like personal records. It's like there's no one like chasing records anymore, I feel like, which is kind of weird. And I feel like maybe they need to do something like you have to give way more extreme advantages.
Well, except when guys do chase records. This is people being annoying. The last guy to really chase a record, Russell Westbrook, and everyone shit on him for it.
I know.
Everyone made it. Everyone vilified him.
I know they did.
Like Russell Westbrook, perhaps it tries the hardest of any player in their 30s in the NBA every single night and has for a long time. And all the NBA intelligentsia decided he was like a villain because he liked to shoot 19-foot jump shots.
Yes,
I
know. So you have to make the regular season matter more somehow. I one thing I thought is maybe a giving like way greater advantage to like higher seeds, like the first 3 games.
You can pick your opponent. That's been one
that would be
been bandied about.
So weird, but maybe it's like in a 7-game series, the first 3 games are in your arena, and then only the next 2. Like,
well,
something to make teams care about the minutia of the seeds is what I would say.
Think about, you get extra bits of content out of picking your opponent, and a team could take it really personally. Like, let's say the Grizzlies. So right now they just fired their coach. They can't beat any good teams. They're probably going to be like the 8 seed. And the Thunder say, "Oh, we want to play them." So then you get 3 days of John Morant
I know.
absolutely running his mouth, being like, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Speaking of, no one wants records anymore. Shea plays every night. I think he's missed 3 games this year. Plays like 38 minutes. He came back in a 17-point game to get 50.
The only games you missed were during my fantasy semifinals, but I digress.
So he came back in a game. This was actually more like a month and a half ago to get 50. And people are like, oh my God, how dare they risk the health of this franchise? It's like, guess what, nerd? Getting 50 points is cool. It's the exact opposite of the way we should be treating this.
People have to get over this in every single sport, too. Like, I get so tired of why is Josh Allen still playing?
Why is Josh Allen still in the game? Because it's fucking cool.
I know, it's amazing. There's only 17 games. And yeah, guess what? You're not the only one who goes to Josh Allen's Pro Football Reference. Like, he does, too. And he's not going to pass up a rushing touchdown here. Like, he's going to want that one at the end of his career. Like, that's why you don't take the guys out. And I wish it's infecting every sport. Like, I wish did I just freeze up?
No, you're good. Oh, no, you did. Your video did freeze up.
Sorry. I don't know. I was in the middle of ranting. You should maybe remove me and put me back in.
This happens often. You know, that's okay. We'll allow him when we're in the middle of doing you know, the hardest core analysis. We're taking it very seriously. But that is actually a very good point about Josh Allen checking his own Pro Football Reference page. Like, basically, it's kind of a way of, like, nerds have also, in a way, maybe ruined all these sports for us, you know? If, like, getting 50 is not cool, if Josh Allen, you know, front flipping into the end zone is not cool, then, like, what does any of this even matter, you know?
There's too much focus in every single sport now on, like, the long term. Like, not everything should have the long view. Like, I'm sorry, again, I just went on a Michael Jordan rant. Like, I'm sorry, you should if someone's throwing a no-hitter, they need to throw 137 pitches and finish the no-hitter. Like, the no-hitter is going to mean more to this guy at the end of his career than, like, whatever, like the 1.7% reduction in Tommy John odds that he had by pulling him out of the game. Because he's going to get Tommy John anyway. There's so much
exactly, especially in baseball. Like, guess what? Are you a pitcher? You're gonna have Tommy John.
You just cannot every process has gotten better. That's good, but you cannot only take the long view. Sometimes something needs to be cool for its own sake. And there's not. We do like vilify stuff that's cool for its own sake. Like Denny, my podcast partner, hated the Mike Evans 1,000-yard thing. You know, where they so transparently.
That, by the way, that is so Denny coded.
I know.
Yes.
I know, dude, it was amazing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that was amazing. Like, there needs to be more weird moments like that again. And, like, sometimes something that has to be cool for its own sake. And, like, take the long view 92% of the time. But if something's amazing is happening, don't disrupt it. But yeah, so if an NBA player is like, you know what? I'm getting this triple-double. Don't yell at him. Let him do it.
Yes. I think that is good advice. I think these guys, I mean, then you'll get the you know, the old folks who basically think that the reason why Joel Embiid, part of the reason why his health has been so bad the last 2 years is he was determined to get MVP, and that actually the whole 76ers organization would be in a much better place if he didn't try to get the MVP and didn't come back from his injury and yada yada. And, like, I don't know, maybe it's true. Also, maybe Joel Embiid should just in general, like, Joel Embiid, frankly, probably has ran hot to have the career he's had when it was it was really giving Greg Oden early on. It was really giving this guy is never going to be able to have a meaningful NBA season because he's just too big.
He was basically what if Greg Oden but interesting early in his career. And then he became what if Greg Oden but Hall of Famer.
Yes.
He's such a missed opportunity. And I don't buy that at all in Embiid because it's not like 5 fewer games was going to make the difference for Embiid. You know?
So the talking, the chatter was that he came back too early from the meniscus injury last year. He should have just shut it down and said, I'm good. And then would have been healthy this year. I mean, who knows?
There might be some validity to that. but yeah,
it's hard. It is hard to say. But certainly possible. This was the last talking point I had, which dovetails nicely with nerds ruining sports. Instant replay, VAR, Hawkeye technology, all actually bad. We all say we want, you just want the correct outcome. You just want the correct call. And theoretically, that's true. Theoretically, if you could guarantee with 100% accuracy, you get every call correct, every call or every catch is a catch, every toe out of bounds. But in practice, can you think of a good sport or a good application of instant replay?
I actually can, but I totally agree with your general skepticism on replay. Where basically, I feel like there's three good applications of replay. So first, like a challenge. What happened? Was the challenge system so bad? Like, was the like baseball? I feel like it's fine. Like, if you're so confident a call is wrong, like once or twice a game, you challenge. Like, yeah, it's totally fine. I feel like that's fine. I feel like replay assist is fine. Like the stuff that's like so obvious, like the ball hit off a guy's finger. Like you don't need to go to the monitor and review it for 3 minutes. Like someone can get in your ear and yeah, no, it's Syracuse's ball. Like I feel like that is fine. And what was the other? There's and stuff that's automated like Hawkeye. I think that's fine. But what is not fine is like I keep saying for its own sake, like replay for replay's sake. Where clearly in the final minute of the 2 minutes of these NCAA tournament games, like they're just like, we got to get the call right no matter what. So even though I'm 82% sure, even though no one was even complaining, we're going to check. Replay is just it. The only sport I feel like it is ruining is basketball. Like it's like so out of control. It's like fundamentally altering the sport too. And like you have like timeouts. You have so many extra timeouts because like you're just gonna get the replay timeout. If the game is close, it doesn't matter if you're out of timeouts. You're gonna get 2 timeouts to drop a play because invariably 2 things are gonna get reviewed. And like, I feel like officials should not be able to initiate reviews. It's kind of how I feel about it. It should either be a challenge, it should be someone in their ear, or it should be something automated. I don't think the officials should be like, we got to go look at this. Like, that's the one thing I would do to try to fix replay right off the bat is the official cannot be like, we got to look at this. Like, someone either needs to challenge you to look at it, or someone needs to get in your ear, like, no, dude, like he was safe, like very clear, and it needs to be within like 2 seconds. I was just really ranting so hard. I'm surprised I didn't drop out and freeze again.
The sport it's actually worse for is soccer.
Oh my God! Yes,
the video assistant referee, because soccer is
horrendous.
Such a game of like, there are so few moments that matter in a soccer game. And I don't mean that in a boring American way of like goals are all that matter. I just mean like going to the screen in the 88th minute of the FA Cup semifinal because Marcus Rashford was like maybe marginally offside. I mean, it's horrible, dude.
It is truly horrible. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but like
go
soccer, you spend the whole game. The goals are so rare. Like the release from the teams in the crowd when there's finally a goal, and like even that's been ruined now because you're just waiting for like, well, we gotta see the VAR. We gotta see like if his shin was 2% like offsides, right? It's ruined like the reason basically we watch soccer is like talk about a crescendo. Like sometimes it'll be seriously the entire 90 minutes will be building towards it, and then it finally happens. But then like you don't know if the celebration is like true or not because it could be 30 seconds later. He could be pointing the flag down, and it has like almost like totally ruined the sport. I do agree with you. I mean, totally ruined might be a gross exaggeration since I still watch it and still enjoy it. But yeah, it has not helped the sport. I'll say that.
No, and I, of course, this is like part of my, every man gets old and changes their opinions on things that they previously held. I was one of these pencil pushing nerdlingers with a pocket protector being like, no, you just need, there's too much money on the line. The games are too important. You just need to make sure that the correct decision. And at the end of the day, I mean, yes, theoretically, I would love for every Isaiah Likely toe slightly out of bounds to be officiated correctly. But guess what? That was an amazing moment in the NFL. If you can remember all the way back, week 1, Chiefs were, I believe it was the first game of the season, right?
Yes.
And Isaiah Likely scores his second touchdown of the game as time expires to beat the world champion, the reigning Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, and his toe is like half an inch out of bounds. It takes 5 minutes to figure it out. Like, the players are confused on the field. At home, you're like, what's happening? The Chiefs can't keep getting away with it. Oh, wait, they easily got away with it. But
Easily.
like, I wanted the Chiefs to win that game, and it's definitely better if instant replay didn't exist and he was just awarded the touchdown and the Ravens like stormed the field, and it's like this indelible moment of the season. Like, no doubt about it.
It does rob moments. That I do have to disagree, because like, I will say, like, replay, if there's one reason replay should exist, it should be on games that quite literally decide the play.
Sure.
It's so many of like grinding things to a halt for stuff that's not going to decide the game.
No, yes. So that actually, you know what? You're making the better point than I am. That was like, clearly it was a correct decision. It decided the game, so getting the call was correct. It is more for these insanely marginal spots, you know, the possession arrow types that, I know they don't call it that in the NBA, but the possession stuff in the NBA, flagrant one in the NBA.
The
like,
flagrant review is like, what are we doing? Like, honestly, with the flagrant,
like, just make your call on the floor, and if it's
flagrant,
a flagrant,
needs to be made on the floor. Like, truly should not ever be reviewed during the game. And then if it's a flagrant 2, then suspend them after the game.
Yes, like, 100%.
College
absolutely.
is so addicted to the flagrant reviews too. The NFL is getting. We need less official review processes. Just have the process be the guy I see on TV, like, yeah, he was out of bounds, and say it in his ear, and then get things moving. Because the NFL, like, this started doing this without even really ever officially announcing it, and it's amazing. Like, it's the replay assist is amazing. I feel like, yeah, no, it was not a first down. Like, all right, and they just move on. Really, like having these like super official, laborious, like, but, you know, like signing a form type reviews. That's another really bad thing. Like, just no, make it less official. Make it so you're talking to the guy, and then we can get the game going again.
Yeah, frankly, just like the more pencil pushing and the more finance bros, you know, have their impact on the sport, the more
everything.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like, it's you know the domino meme, like the littlest domino to the biggest domino. It's Bill James calculates that a walk is about as good as a hit, and then all of a sudden Amen Thompson, who's like the greatest, most fun player to watch in the NBA, is like a negative value contract because he can't make a 3. You know, like it actually do be like that. It does. It's a huge bummer.
I know it is. Sometimes I think too, like, to rein it in, like, would it be that bad if in baseball, like, you just couldn't consult video during the game, like, ever?
I don't even know how the review process works. Baseball.
I don't mean review. I mean, so if we wanted to like make the games a little freer and more fun again, like, whatever, players are always going to prepare the best way they know to prepare. So, like, again, you can't unring that bell. But one thing in baseball, I feel like, why are we watching video in the dugout? Like, I feel like once the game has started, like, no video should be allowed. You shouldn't be allowed to be studying the pitcher on an iPad during the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, do all the video you want in between the games, but once the game has started, I feel like there should be less technology. So it is more about like instinct and like individual player decisions, instead of having literally every pitch is almost like pre-choreographed. Like, he's going to do this, then he's going to do this, then he's going to do this. Or it needs to be more about like player instinct and like individual decision-making again. Or that could be one way to kind of take some of the analytics out of the games without actually taking it out. Because, you know, before the game, whatever, you're going to do a ton of study. Like, that can't be prevented, nor should it be. Like, during the game, like, it's a game. Like, it's not, you know, it's not this will be the true boomer thing I've ever going to say. It's not a math equation. It's a game. Like, just play the game. Let the players play the game. And I'm 38.
I mean, 38 going on 49,
Yep, 59.
It's hard to say. Well,
Well,
I mean,
yep.
I think we can all agree nerds are bad.
Nerds are
And
I have to rant one more time to defend the old talk. I think everyone is a little bummed in every sport, just about every sport being so solved. We unequivocally know the best process now in every single sport. Like I know hockey has been solved, basketball has been solved, baseball has been solved, and again, you're not going to unteach the best practices, but there has to be like these little ways where you can make the games more free flowing. And
actually, wait. This is a good point, but I needed to bring up this point. This is one of the solves for the NBA that has been officially proposed and turned down that I think the owners might eventually acquiesce to. Have you heard of this? It's called the wheel.
I have not.
So instead of the NBA draft lottery, you will know your picks for the next 30 years.
I have heard of this.
There's no tanking. You know when you pick fourth. It's totally random, right? Now, the hard part is like, oh, the Celtics get the first pick in the wheel. Great.
What a surprise. The Celtics have the first pick, the Cooper Flag year. Who could have seen that coming?
Exactly. So it's like, it's a very, very hard sell, but it does basically immediately solve what I think is an even bigger issue than like Steph Curry not playing every game, which is the Pelicans have like 8 guys who played at D2 Charleston. Like these are not real NBA. If you're listening to this right now, just go to the Philadelphia 76ers basketball reference page and look at who played at their game last night.
I've seen some of the memes. I've seen some of the memes.
Be like, who is Jeff Doughton? Who is that? No idea.
I've heard the Jazz are pulling off an all-time tank too.
The Jazz and the Raptors are doing a very subtle tank where if the game is close in the second half, they'll just remove their good players. So like the Raptors are up 4 points in the second half against whoever, and they're like, all right, Scotty Barnes.
So that's another thing I totally hate. So I hate why is Josh Allen still in the game when the Bills are up 30? I also hate, like, don't they know the Texans that if they win, they affect their draft pick? I feel like all tanking needs to be done before the games start. And then once the game is started, tanking is not allowed. Do whatever tanking machinations you need to do before the game, but like tanking cannot be allowed. Because truly, like, why are we even here then? Like, do not play the game if you're going to be tanking during the game. Like, the game just shouldn't even be played. You should just forfeit.
Yeah, just a good point in general. What are we even doing here?
I know you need to end your show, but I've always thought too.
We're vibing.
Just make it. This wouldn't totally solve the tanking problem, but I think it would help a little bit. Just make it 2 pots. Make it the playoff teams, the lottery, and then the non-playoff team pots, or excuse me, the non-playoff teams in the lottery, and then there's no odds after that. It's just totally random. It's the 16 teams who made the playoffs, or I don't know, now do you say 20 because of the play-in? They all have equal odds. The number, there's no like weighted odds. Like if you're in the non-playoff pool, all 14 teams have the same odds for the number 1 pick. And then 2 of the teams that make the playoffs, you don't necessarily get the 30th pick if you win the finals. You could get the 17th pick or whatever. I feel like that would be one sort of fix. Where if you're the worst team, you're not going to get the 30th pick, but you might get totally screwed and get like the 14th pick. Where I feel like it should be non-weighted odds, I feel like.
So non-weighted odds. Non-weighted odds is probably more realistic than the wheel, but yeah, I don't know. It feels, because certainly there needs to be some, I guess this doesn't happen in the NFL. I was saying there needs to be some incentive for teams that have no incentive. So at least the incentive for the Toronto Raptors in April is like, just don't win, right? Whatever that takes. But like that, teams play meaningless games in the NFL, and it's just like, dudes like to play. So I don't know.
And I don't agree that it's totally meaningless. If you have a bad team, you honestly could start making breakthroughs that would help you. Like a player could figure something out.
Sure.
Like if the game still matters, because like you're not going to improve your lottery odds. You might figure out stuff that you weren't going to figure out when you basically have no choice but to tank. Because of course, like why would you? It's not logical to not tank right now. even with the odds, even though you're not guaranteed the number one pick. It's obviously totally illogical if you're one of the 3 or 4 worst teams not to tank. And like it's just a disservice. Anything that's like not actually trying.
Were teams doing this in like 1989? They just hadn't figured it out yet. They weren't like, oh, actually, it's better to have the number 1 pick than the 6th pick.
Sure, they knew, but I think too a lot of it was this culture, and I don't mean like we have a worse culture now. It's just like not something you did.
Not something you did.
You just like didn't.
It was uncouth.
It was very uncouth.
Larry Bird would have made fun of you.
He would have.
Yeah, Larry Bird and his like literally having to lay in traction after games would have been like, "What are you talking about? We're trying to lose this game. No chance. We're going to be the 7 seed." You know, and that is just the way it is. All right, Mr. Rotopat, what is new in the next 3 weeks at NBC Sports Universal?
I did so much ranting, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of ranting.
I'm sorry, I did a lot of ranting. You kind of teed me up with these topics, but I am working on my annual coach rankings, and I'm hoping to publish them next Thursday. Today's April 2nd. I'm hoping to publish them on April 10th. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's my coach rankings article.
Yeah, people are going to be they're going to be really happy with those.
They still get fired up. That's fine. You know, the readers. I just got fired up. The readers can get fired up. It's a free country for now. Yeah, they can get fired up. Anyways, sorry. That's what I'm doing, and I'm podcasting as always.
The Good Football Show. I would encourage you to watch, listen, subscribe to The Good Football Show. Check out the coach rankings if you want to get mad over at rotoworld.com. I'll be back with everyone next week. Have a good day.